Evening, everyone. Welcome to the Dover Commission meeting for February 11th, 2026. Um, this public meeting is being held virtually pursuant to Mass Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, which extends through June 30th, 2027, which gives us the ability of public bodies to meet in a fully remote manner. You can join us via the link via the agenda page on the town website. And if you're not on this meeting, you won't hear me say that. So I will open up with a call to order and a roll call vote. Um, so I'll start with Sarah Monaco.
Um,
Are you
yes,
here?
and John, it's actually February 11th, not the 6th.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I said February 11th, 2026.
No, you,
So,
you said the 6th.
oh,
So,
well, thank you.
okay.
Okay. Duly
So
noted.
I apologize for correcting you, but yes, I'm here.
Feel free. So, um, actually, now I have 5 days to catch up. But
Yes.
uh, Zager, uh,
Here.
okay, Anna Nagy,
Here.
you, Amy,
Here.
and I am here. Um, and request any public comments for anybody who or any questions that have nothing to do with items that are on this evening's agenda. We're open to that at this time. Is there anybody out there? Okay, hearing none, we'll proceed with this evening's agenda. First up is 6 Sterling Drive with a request for an order of conditions extension request. This is Kristen and Brian Scalabrini's. And as we've discussed several times over the last few months, they've had issues getting uh, Joyce Hastings to complete uh, the the plan given the dissolution of GLM Engineering. And um, and Janet has reviewed this as well, and I, there's no reason to not give them the extension. At this point, things seem to be well planted and thriving, but we don't have the as-built as to due to the other expansion of buildings and pool on that property. Uh, Janet, anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I do recommend they've requested an extension for 3 years, so I'd recommend approval of that.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to grant such an extension. And this is Tim's
So
here, so I'm just
moved.
going but our second person is still here. So do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Sarah,
Aye.
Anna,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
Sega,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Thank you. Um, let's see. And then moving on, we have well, actually, since we're moving a little fast, but I hope everyone's here. 7 Buttercup Lane. We have a COC request. Janet, why don't you fill us in on that?
So this project, this is DEP number 1440922. The project has been completed. They submitted their required as-built and all the COC documents. I did review the permit itself. I did a site inspection. This was before our heavy snow cover with the owner's consultant. They have met and complied with all terms of the permit. They also installed the required signage. So I recommend approval and issuance of a certificate of compliance with our 4 standard permanent conditions. Those are 4 conditions that are outlined in the permit and in my report.
Okay, thank you. Any comments by commissioners? Or anyone else?
No.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to grant that certificate of compliance request. Who would,
So moved.
thank you,
I will second that.
thank you. All in favor? Sarah,
Aye.
Anna, Amy,
Aye.
Sega,
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Next up, we have Old Farm Road Water Trust, the continuation of their notice of intent hearing. Do we have the parties? Is everyone here?
Yes, Chris Verdi here from Old Farm Road Water Trust. And on the call this evening is Genevieve Cadero from H2O Olson Engineering.
Hi.
Luke. Hi. Great. Janet, why don't you fill us in on this, please, where we stand at this point?
Sure. So this is notice of intent 144-0940. This has been continued. This is a proposed new drinking water main to be installed underneath a town culvert by the Old Farm Road Water Trust, and then to be owned by the Aquarian Water Company at some point. So we have requested some information. I believe we have all the information we need, but some of it.
Can you move a little closer to your microphone, please?
Sure. Can you hear me
Thanks.
now? Okay.
A little bit better. There was a moment there where it was
It's
clearer.
kind of muffled. There might be something covering the microphone.
So we had requested some additional information, which has been received, but I think it is probably important to go over the documents we have received. And then we also have 3 waiver requests that the commission will need to review. So the first document we had asked for, and just a reminder of what's being proposed here. A new water main is being installed within the parameters of the existing road. They are removing a section of a 12-inch diameter concrete culvert pipe, which conveys a perennial stream. They'll be installing a water main approximately 1 foot under the culvert, and then replacing the culvert pipe section around the new pipe section. And the concern of the town and DPW was that this is a culvert that is in decline and has been scheduled for replacement within the next couple years. And so we didn't want any impact from the new water main to prevent the town from replacing the culvert in a feasible way. So this is the solution that the applicant is proposing. DPW supports this. We have that in writing from them. The DPW director had asked town council to draft a legal agreement between the town and Aquarian, who will be the new owner of this water main. Just outlining all of the agreement and responsibilities related to the culvert. Should anything fail or need replacement, it's clearly spelled out who will be responsible for that. So we did receive a draft back from town council. It has not yet been signed. So the question is, I just got that recently. Does the commission want to see that legal agreement? And do we want to wait until it's signed by both the town and Aquarian before we issue the order of conditions? We could approve the order tonight, and then we have 21 days to issue. And I would think that would be a reasonable amount of time. But I don't know if the commission feels comfortable that we have at least a draft in hand.
Commissioners, did anyone have a chance to review that draft?
John, I did not send that out.
Oh, okay.
But so my question is, I thought perhaps I didn't know if the commission would want to see it. I can send it out tomorrow. But I had just gotten that, and I've been scrambling to try to keep up with all the new documents coming in.
Okay. Well, I think I did receive a copy of it, and I did not see any place for conservation to sign. That seemed to be something between the town, the highway department, and the applicant. Is that what you recall, Janet?
That's right. I think it's just between the town administrator and Aquarian.
So there's a little wordsmithing, I think, probably reviewed. It was talking about if something were to happen, or if a repair was necessary in the future, or if the town replaces the culvert, that the Aquarian, if it was necessary for them to replace a section of their water line while the town was doing that, Aquarian would bear the cost of that. There also seemed to be something in there about if, and this is where I think the wordsmithing is necessary, that it wasn't clear that if Aquarian broke the culvert, that it looked like there was confusing some of the culvert with the water line itself in terms of being responsible for repairing all of it. And it wasn't clear whether all of it was the water line or the culvert. But I'll leave that to the Aquarian representatives to review with the town on that. Okay, so do any commissioners have any question about that proposed agreement that you have not yet seen?
It'd be nice to see the documents.
Okay, so Janet will send those out. But as I said, we can help with, and maybe, you know, if things aren't clear to us or something, but we're not signatories to this. And then Janet, you were also. Go ahead.
Chris had a question, but I do just want to say this was drafted by town council. So, but certainly if we have input or tweaks, we can certainly suggest those. But that would be unusual.
No, and that's why I said it was just a matter of maybe a clarification. It wasn't clear to me from one paragraph to another, so I just was bringing that up for just somebody to take a look at it. Let's see.
And John, who in particular are you suggesting look at that? I'm not clear as to what the action item is there.
So the action item there is I'm bringing it to the party's attention. Janet, why don't you take a look at it? I'll look at it as well. Commissioners, feel free to take a look at it as Janet sends it out. It was relatively minor and just looked like something might be a draft error, or maybe I just sleep deprived. So we'll see. But I wanted to bring it up just because it was we're trying to make things very clear on this, and it didn't strike me as such for either the first or the second paragraph there. So Janet, why don't you take a look at it? You can feel free to contact me after you see it.
Okay.
Okay. And then next we have
I'm sorry. I think Chris from the Water Trust had a question.
Okay.
Yeah, more of a comment, because I can tell that most people on the call haven't seen the agreement. So let me shed some light on this if I can. It's a 2-page agreement. It's a memorandum of understanding that simply captures what's already been done in satisfaction of the action item for tonight's meeting, which is the writing from Aquarian to support any relocation of the water main that might be necessitated as a result of a future potential town culvert replacement, right? So this 2-page agreement is simply capturing that understanding that's already on Aquarian letterhead, signed with the town and part of the NOI. So just to kind of get that context. And John, to your point, the language is there's factual inaccuracies there, and it leaves some things to be desired. I've already been in touch with Aquarian. I've provided a markup to correct the factual aspects. They are reviewing it with their legal team, and they assure me that it's going to be proceeding to signature soon. Once it goes back to the town. There will be a little bit of ping pong in this, I'm sure, because that's how these things typically go. But we do have a signed letter agreement from Aquarian assuring us that they're responsible for the relocation of the water main, to the extent it needs to be relocated. And mind you that we're not going to be breaking ground for months, and that culvert's not going to be replaced for years. So I'm just to put this in context here.
Yep. Okay. No, thank you very much. So apparently I wasn't that deprived. Okay. then why don't we carry on with oh, excuse me, let me just get back to some of uh the other issues that Janet was looking for some response on that. So Janet, did you get a copy of the response to a written response to DEP's concerns?
Yes, so we did receive that. That was dated January 29th. That did go out to the full commission. That
Mhm.
was a one-page response uh, to the concerns by DEP, Wetlands Division. And again, DEP's comments are advisory only, and it's really up for the commission to make a final decision. But I did have some questions on the response. Basically, they touched upon three specific issues that addressed DEP's concerns regarding dewatering. Also, should there be any required temporary bypass of flow of water? And then the third is, let's see, if there were any unanticipated repairs needed. So my suggestion would be that I had outlined 13 special conditions regarding the approval of this for a permit. And I would like to add language for the three detailed provisions outlined in the DEP letter. So my bottom line is I feel like I still need to revise the recommended special conditions. And if it's item 2 and 3, item 2 was if what would happen if they needed temporary bypass. And I would like to see that that would need to be reviewed and approved prior to any such bypass work by both the Concom and DPW. And then number 3, the comment number 3, again, if there were to be any unanticipated repairs needed to the culvert to maintain flow, that work would have to be subject in advance by the Concom and DPW. So those would become just new permit conditions. And then my last question, the response from Olson indicates construction contract documents, which have certain written provisions with regard to the contractor's responsibility to protect public and private property, and to make certain repairs as needed if anything's damaged to utilities or public land during construction. And I'm wondering, Chris, those contract documents, would that be available? Could you send us a copy of that? So we can just reference that in our order of conditions.
Yeah, those documents don't exist yet, so just,
Right,
we haven't RFP this project yet, so we're waiting to get approval before we put in an RFP, so we actually know exactly what we're gonna be doing.
Okay.
We're happy to provide a copy of that for your satisfaction, after the fact. But there's standard contract terms with the contractor for indemnification, and to, fix whatever gets broken, if you will.
Okay.
So I think one of the concerns we voiced at the last meeting, Geneviève,
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to make a note as well. The submission, I submitted all the documents for the NOI and all the supplemental info. I believe that was yesterday or Monday. And as part of that, there were 3 contract document specifications that's relates to this. So those, like the whole documents aren't finished yet, but we did finish those 3 because they were pertinent to this information. So we do have those 3 that you guys can reference.
Okay. I think, well, is it Genevieve? Yeah. So on the last meeting, the concern was that there's boilerplate language for contractors, and what we wanted to see was an expansion, which may not be ready now, as Chris was saying. That would probably be something we would want to have prior to proceeding, so that even if we were to approve things, we're approving them subject to these requirements being fleshed out in greater detail. So, for example, we've dealt with this before with dams and things like that. If you're dewatering or if you're blocking something up, you know exactly what are your options and have them spelled out rather than having a contract to say we will dewater, you know, if necessary, but not address whether they're dewatering through a 2-inch hose and it's scouring the, you know, the other side of the stream bed or things of that nature. So I think if we move forward with this on an approval basis, that will be subject, you know, commencement of the job be subject to having those documents fleshed out. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
And Janet, do you agree with that?
Yes, I think we can condition that, so this is at least, I'm looking at probably at least another 4 special conditions to be added. And the question would be, I would be more comfortable if I can now revise my recommendations to include those additional conditions. And then we could do a final review and approval at the next meeting.
Mm-hmm. And I don't have a problem with that. And as Chris mentioned, you know, we have time to make sure we get this done right, and we're really close. So but I'd like to continue through some of these other concerns this evening. So let's see. And on the waiver requests, obviously they'll be necessary, but there's no reason to vote on them until we're voting on everything. And Genevieve looks like she's been handling. I'm going through Janet's regulatory report. I'm looking at number 5. I don't know if you have the same thing pulled up, Genevieve, but then that seems to be some of the things that you addressed yesterday. And we normally need at least a week, you know, prior to a meeting to review them. Let's see. Is there? Oh, and the question I had was just as part of that. Part of what kicked us off originally was the thought that there'd be ledge on that side of the road, and so we saw the, you know, up high bypass. Now we're looking at something down at a standard depth and so forth. Do you have anything in writing yet of how to handle something if you do encounter ledge, and where you would go with that?
Near the culvert or just ledge in general for
Well, it
excavation?
seems now what you're looking at doing is you're saying that since we've gotten rid of the potential of going up and over, which generally is not a good idea. And it looked like you're looking at putting it under the culvert. And yet one of the concerns voiced by your other consultant was that you may not be able to put it under the culvert because there may be ledge under there, you know, thinking that given the ledge that you run across in that site. Is that, it would seem to me that something should address what happens if you do encounter that. You've opened up the road, we have things exposed. You know, I don't know if that's been, you know, much of the ledge in this area is peelable, you know, mechanically. But I just thought it may be something to that we probably should have documented as an alternative.
Makes sense, yeah. I mean, the rest of the excavation, like because we're just talking about the area where the stream is, but we'll be excavating for the water main from Walpole Street up till wherever the existing main is. And from how I understand that whole area, there are ledge outcroppings and there could be ledge. I believe it was more of a concern with like directional drilling or going underneath without having to completely do an open excavation was where the ledge was an issue. I don't believe that doing an open excavation with the ledge will be that much of an issue, but I don't have documentation at this time to support that if that's what you're looking for.
I see. So once there's an agreement that you could cut through the culvert you then feel you have enough space to take care of any potential ledge that might exist there. And that's a way of addressing it and just outlining that. Since the directional drilling wasn't something that was that we were hung up on, it was really the fact that getting the right depth there. And it seems that possibly once you have permission to cut through the culvert, you would just want to be clear that that would be your next step if you encountered ledge. Chris?
Yeah, I just did a quick search of the NOIs you're speaking about this, and I just want to point out that, it does says there would only be, quote, minimal constructability issues anticipated, those being the presence of ledge/bedrock, and then it presents there being two viable options, right? So, I mean, this is not going to be uh, prohibitive of proceeding, right? So I just want to make sure we're clear about what's actually being asked and what we need to.
Well, I think something that just says, since this started with a concern about ledge, let's just complete it by addressing what you'll do, now that you have permission to get below the culvert if you encounter ledge. And I think Genevieve mentioned, you'll basically remove it the way you would in a normal circumstance. The non-normal circumstance was the concern that of trying to remove it while you had a concrete culvert above you, which would make, cut out your leverage and cut out a whole bunch of things there. But since it was brought up as a major concern in the beginning, let's just use it as part of the documentation of how you would deal with it if you encounter it. Okay.
So John, just to clarify, we're looking for a brief narrative to include in the NOI application. What happens if they encounter ledge? How would they proceed?
I'm not sure if we want it in the NOI or if we want to view it as part of their construction documents. Because I think, as Chris mentioned, they did address it in a cursory way, and when it was brought to our attention, we dealt with it in a little greater detail, and then the decision was made to go under the culvert. It seems to me that they can deal with it as part of the construction documents, and it's something for what I would expect, Janet, for you to review prior to giving them permission to proceed. After, because I would expect you to review the construction documents even after we grant the order of conditions. Does that make sense?
Yep, that makes sense.
Okay. Okay, then then DPW's recommended not DPW, we're looking at the DEP letter is up at the top. I'm just going through Janet's things here, and Janet, is there anything else you want to touch base on this evening prior to continuing?
No, I think we have everything else. As Genevieve mentioned, they did submit a list of all NOI documents, so we have all that to be included for the record. Yeah.
Okay, great. And we have the waiver request as well?
Yes.
Okay. And has that been sent out for commission's review?
Yes, that was, I think, 2 meetings ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then we are looking for, I just want to clarify what it is we're looking for the next meeting. Yeah, you're going to do some additional review, Janet?
Yes, so I'll forward out the draft legal agreement. And if people have comments or concerns, I would say bring those to the next meeting. I don't think we should circulate those. I think those concerns should be discussed at the next meeting. And then I'm going to revise the special conditions to include some of the provisions in the DEP response letter from Olson.
Okay, great. Is that clear, Genevieve?
Yeah, and then from H2 Olson, you just want to see something clarifying, like the ledge and how that is dealt with.
Yeah, and I think that would be part, as you mentioned, and I think Chris mentioned, you won't have I mean, it would be helpful for H. Wilson to have that as guidance for your RFPs. But then the next step there would be once you do select a contractor to have them address directly in the contract documents, or have the parties address how you're going to handle those things, if they come up. So
Is there something specific you're looking for? Because I'm just trying to understand. We can talk about that with the contractor, but
So here's a, it might I'm a contractor, Chris,
yeah, I
so just let
understand.
you know. Okay, so contractors love to just sort of gloss over things. I'm not me, of course, but no, in terms of subcontractors, where they'll come in and they'll say, and we've seen this, we've had to get contractors to be a little bit more specific when it comes to dewatering. Their experience might be they get a water pump and they pump things out, but they have no experience on the fact that they're actually scouring a stream bed with the discharge. We've in terms of how they're going to do their if they're going to block a stream, how they're going to handle it, for what length of time do they think they'll be able to, they'll need to do that, and then what's the secondary dewatering for that? Just we want to make sure the contractor has the equipment and the expertise to anticipate what could go wrong, and that should be part of your rather than just having them indemnify you. It's great. Now they're indemnifying you and they're on site and they don't have any of the necessary equipment to do what they said they were going to do. It eventually they can indemnify all you want, and then Old Farm Trust and Aquarium will get pulled into some legal thing. It's better to just make sure they actually know what they're doing. And you do that by having them spell out what they will do in certain circumstances, as opposed to just saying we indemnify you.
Yeah, I understand, and that was one of the contexts of the culvert damage. But I'm thinking here about the stream issue. Is there something specific that the commission's looking for in terms of how that stream is, handled in particular? 'Cause we also want them to have equipment on site and things like that. But I just want to make sure we're really clear about what is the ask, right?
So the ask is we are very concerned about the stream. If everything goes as hoped for, we don't have to address any of it, but we just want to be ready for it. And so as I mentioned at the last meeting, the culvert breaks while they're doing something, or they cut it. How's their water management? Are they going to slide something through the culvert, as I mentioned before, a polyethylene pipe that goes across the road, or are they going to have a pump running whatever water they have there, and discharging it into the other side of the street for that? Those things should be spelled out as opposed to we'll make it up when we get there. And as we need to, yeah, I mean, it's helpful in construction documents like that to say these are the things that the manners in which we can address those circumstances, and they're made part of construction documents. Rather, they just give you more protection. They obviously give us protection, but the big thing about it is it forces them to think it through. Depending on who you end up with as a contractor. So that's and I'm saying that should be part of your construction documents that we should review even after we've granted the order of conditions. Until we get those fleshed out construction documents, you won't be able to begin. But we have time, like you mentioned. So and you'll get those more
Well,
from
I mean,
once you
yeah,
get your RFPs responded to.
yeah. Sorry to talk over you. I just want to be very clear because order of operations here, as you'll appreciate with your background, is that we're going to want to put out a process for a contractor, and then get to signature to actually get on the schedule, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that agreement won't be able to be signed until I'm not exactly sure what you're looking for. I mean, I think, if we're going to get approval today, it sounds like you're talking, or next meeting, I suppose, that this keeps dragging on. But,
Mm-hmm.
eventually I would think we'll get approval. But now it sounds like it's going to be contingent upon reviewing an agreement that I'm going to be negotiating with the contractor, which now puts the approval kind of in a tenuous position. Whereas if you tie it to, say, the issuance of a permit to open the road, I mean, that's a different story, right? I mean, there's other vehicles to control construction proceeding that's outside the purview of this commission, right?
So I think, yeah, we're not far apart here. Basically, what you've told me is you can't get those documents yet because you haven't selected a contractor. So we're saying, okay, if we get everything and Janet reviews everything, we may be willing to grant you the order of conditions. At which point you have that, you can go out and do your RFPs, get your responses. Regardless of all that, you won't be able to start work until Janet goes out on site and meets with you and takes a look at the erosion control, barriers that are in effect, and also have gone through what you do in an emergency. How are you going to handle siltation and things of that sort? That's why we're comfortable giving you the approval once we get everything and Janet reviews everything. That gives you the ability to get the documents. And I'm just saying, make sure with your your respondents or with your final contractor that they outline how they're going to handle those things as part of it. And so I'm just saying, and because if that's not handled, if that's just saying we indemnify you and we do this all the time and we'll take care of it and we'll throw a hose across the street, then we're not going to let you start. We want to see a little bit more information on that, and that's going to be in the contractor is the person who's, is the company that's going to be doing that. So we're just letting you know that we really don't want amateurs involved here.
Neither do we.
And many of these companies know how to do this. We've just had experience with other ones who don't. So we can separate the two because we always have Janet go out at a pre-construction meeting to go over everything and make sure things, are set up the way they promised in the documents. In this particular case, you'll be discussing these documents a little earlier in that process, just to make sure that we have things in place for, that address that. So I don't see that. That's not going to hold up the approval of this. That if that's not addressed, it may hold up the ground opening, but it's an easy thing to address. It's just that I'm bringing it up because it's going to need to be addressed.
Right. I just want to make sure, again, it was clear that it's one thing to be opening up the ground, another thing to be having approval, right? I mean, I didn't want any approval to be clouded with some contingency that may not be met until the contract is signed, and then we have to come back here to have you, interject in the contracting process, right?
So our approval and your response to the DEP's concerns, that will all be incorporated in our front end documents here, and then your contractors will review those documents, and you will hold them to coming up with proposals on how they'll handle the promises made in that.
Yeah, that's sure won't be a problem. And
no, it normally isn't. I'm just saying we've had people who needed a little bit more seasoning, in doing this sort of work. And
I've personally done some contract on this myself. Of course, we've got Genevieve and the team, and I'm sure we're in good hands here. So.
Oh, I'm sure. No, and I'm sure Genevieve has oodles of documents that may address things, greater than that. So, okay. So, I think we're looking at continuing this to our next meeting.
I think that'd be great.
Okay. And
I think that would be lovely.
Okay. And if you can just put that, do a quick email to Deb tomorrow requesting that continuance, please. And then Janet will give you, we'll send you a draft at some point in the near future of the other items that she wants to address on this. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Thank you. We'll see you in a few weeks.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is we have 6 Draper Road, a notice of intent 1440941 regarding a driveway replacement. Janet, want to just a quick update on this?
Sure. So as you'll recall, this is a driveway replacement in the exact same footprint as the existing driveway. No new impervious surface. It is within the outer riparian zone of Trout Brook. We were only waiting for a DEP number. All the other issues have been addressed. Again, very straightforward. Our standard erosion control. So I recommend that you close the hearing and approve an order of conditions with the 8 special conditions outlined in my book.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Sorry. So moved.
Okay, great. Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor. Sarah?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Sega?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Entertain a motion to grant the order of conditions, including the 8 special conditions as outlined in the agent's regulatory report.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Sarah?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Sega?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Next is 8 Hamlin's Crossing. The approval of the enforcement order. Let's see, Jen, do you want to fill us in on this, and then we'll hear from Paul?
Sure. So as you'll recall, we've had a couple meetings. This was a situation where there was to have been restoration in a number of areas, and a lawn had been installed, a asphalt pathway had been installed. So there were a number of items that needed to be addressed in the enforcement order. Paul had issued some comments, and I have not been able to incorporate all of Paul's comments into the provisions for an enforcement order. So I'm recommending that we continue this to our next meeting on February 25th.
Okay, thank you. And Paul, since you're here, can you bring us up to date on this?
Yeah, I think at the last meeting we talked about, if you remember, I showed the plan with the shaded area of that was supposed to be naturalized. They have incorporated my comments, and I think from my perspective, their proposed restoration is consistent with my comments and those of the commission.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it's just a matter at this point of kind of packaging it up for, for the commission's approval. As you recall, this was this is an expired, long expired order, an enforcement order situation that I believe the commission's intent would be to issue an enforcement order that requires and allows this restoration work to be completed without an actual order of conditions.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's where we're hoping for. And obviously we're a little weather constrained at the moment, but so Janet, your feeling is you'd like to be able to review that and come up with a draft for review and or approval for our next meeting? Yes. Okay. Okay. Then we'll go ahead and continue this to our next meeting. Then we have 90 Claybrook Road. In terms of, why don't you, Jennifer, give us an update of where we stand, and then we'll hear from Paul.
I was looking at our dates, and the original enforcement order was issued over a year ago. Even though it wasn't a particularly large area that was disturbed, that was unpermitted, it's a little bit of a tricky site. There are a number of issues. Paul had some concerns about a potential vernal pool on the site. He issued comments that went out to everyone. His comments were dated February the 5th and requested that the restoration plan be revised relative to the vernal pool section of the restoration plan. And so perhaps he can go over that tonight. And then I know Tyler Drew is here from Beta to go over the revised restoration plan. So I think we're very close. Um, I think, and I did put together a draft enforcement order, an amended enforcement order outlining 15 conditions relative to the restoration. But I think that may still need to be tweaked a little bit. But we can address that after our discussion.
Okay, great. Thank you. Paul, would you bring us up to speed?
Sure. So I just today got the last tweaks that I had requested to the vernal pool assessment proposed by Beta, which really related to level of effort. As the commission knows, sometimes when you're doing a vernal pool investigation, you don't find anything. So what I've asked them to specify, and they did to my detail, was that the level of effort and the timing of doing a vernal pool inspection. So that's in there. Basically, it says after what we refer to as big night, when the amphibians are documented as moving in the area, within a couple weeks, they would go out there and spend a minimum of 2 hours of wading transects through the pool. And also, I requested that they include 200 linear feet of dip net sweeps within the water column looking for fairy shrimp. If nothing was found during that period, during that inspection, then 2 to 4 weeks later, they would come back and do the same thing. To my mind, based upon the size and structure of the area, I think that's a reasonable level of effort to find some vernal pool breeding evidence if it's there.
And big night is typically when? Is it end of March or April?
Roughly. It varies a lot year to year. So far, this has been an odd winter. So if this weather keeps up, it may be a little bit later, but it's generally around there. There's a lot of people who keep their finger on the pulse of that. So we know, we know when it happens in different parts of the state.
No, I was just thinking about the time frame that you're then outlining, so that basically it sounds like they would not be doing plantings until well, would there be anything that would prevent them from doing plantings while they're waiting this?
No.
Okay. Okay.
Excuse me, John, the other part of what's before the commission, in addition to the restoration plan, you'll recall, is a request for a certificate of compliance. And there are a number of deviations spelled out by the engineer. And then Beta submitted a January 27 letter that essentially provides commentary on all of those deviations. So I don't know if the commission has looked at that. For example, one of the issues that was discussed by the commission is a little bit of fill in the floodplain, and the commission's consensus was that it was basically de minimis. There was discussion about the size of the driveway and that sort of thing. So I don't know if you want to go through that letter, but I just wanted to remind you that there are those deviations that the commission is being asked to endorse by issuance of a COC.
Okay, so thank you, Paul. That's helpful. So Janet, I'm just looking through historically where you had previous comments and so forth, would you mention that? So do you see any reason to not review the COC this evening, Janet?
I think I would recommend that we take this one step at a time, and that we get an amended enforcement order in place for the restoration, that work could be at least completed, and then take up the COC. So that could be, hopefully all the plantings could be done in the spring, and we could take up the COC. It just gives us a little more leverage um, with the
Mhm.
enforcement order, although the owner has been extremely cooperative. But that would just be my suggestion, that there's no rush to address the COC at this point.
Okay. Um, let's see, since Tyler, when did you outline do your narrative regarding the variations? Was that just recently?
That was last week, I believe.
Okay. And have you had a chance to review that, Janet?
Paul was reviewing that as our
Okay,
third
that's
party.
true. Yeah.
Yep.
And
And I did review the submission of a week ago. As I said, I had just requested uh, that the level of effort language be added, and that has happened in the week subsequent and actually filed today. But that's a very minor change, and Tyler did verbatim what I had asked.
okay. Why don't we, since that all just came in, just prior to our meeting tonight, why don't we incorporate that, make sure we all get those documents before the next meeting? And let's address this at our next hearing. And hopefully at that point we'll be familiarized with that, but Janet will have a chance to tweak her enforcement order, and then we can move on from there. Does that seem appropriate, Janet?
I would suggest, since we have all the parties here tonight, to review the revised restoration plan, which Paul has
Mhm.
commented on, since we haven't seen that since our last meeting.
Okay, I don't disagree. So, Tyler, why don't you pull that up?
Sure.
And then Paul, feel free to if there's anything to add to the narrative.
Sure.
So while Tyler's pulling it up, you'll recall that there were two fairly large areas that had been disturbed with wood chips and um, on private property adjacent to this. So that's in the very dark gray to the right of the house. And we had requested that the owner of 90 Claybrook, reach out to the owner, because this gets a little tricky legally. We can't really require the owner of 90 Claybrook to do restoration on someone else's property unless we have their consent. So I did add this as a special condition, but
Hey guys, I'm on if you need me at all. I'm sorry, I logged on a tad early.
Sure.
Hey, yes, it's Tracy. Sorry. And I had mentioned it to Tyler. Sorry, I'm at a work meeting. Yes, I did reach out to him last week. I sent a certified letter, and I also sent it with the new map that I received, which I believe is this one.
Yeah.
I'd like to give him a little more time to answer back. It was only last week that I sent it. So I'm hoping he'll answer back. And of course, the second I hear from him, I'll be contacting all of you in hopes that I do hear from him. And I did in the letter tell him that there's a possibility of an enforcement order from you guys if I don't hear from him in writing. I put it in a very nice way, but I did inform him of that.
So we mentioned just before you logged on, Tracy,
Sure.
that we'll be continuing this, but we're pulling this up so we have a chance to review it.
Okay.
And as I'm looking at this plan, the green and white dots that I see in those shaded areas, are those proposed plantings?
I believe so. My understanding was all the dots. I'm not sure Tyler's on yet. I'm happy
Yeah,
to
no,
text him.
Tyler's with
I
us.
can go over
Oh,
that.
hi, Tyler.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi. So are you referring to this area down here?
No, the shaded areas where the wood chips are.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
So I can go over, broad strokes of the additions that I made since the last
Okay.
since the
And then
last
is the
hearing.
property line the thin, dark line that goes down as a straight?
Yes,
Yeah.
right here. Yep.
Okay. And
Yes,
these wood
so-
chips came from chipping the trees that were taken down?
Correct.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. So go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah, so since the last hearing, there was some discussion about there was regrowth up in the yard, so I relocated some shrubs down along the wetland line, and also several shrubs within the two areas of wood chips over here. I added several additional trees on both sides of the house, and one additional tree in the backyard there. let's see what else. I also added the relocated shelf. No, sorry, the shed here. Approximate relocation area. And relocated also some of the shrubs to the wood chip areas. I think the only other thing that we discussed at the last hearing was the addition of the vernal pool assessment, which was also added to the restoration memo.
Okay. And where is that potential pool shown here? Or
It is
it
not. I believe it's this. It's kind of hard. It's very forested down here, so it's hard to see on this aerial, but I believe that's it.
Okay. And
That's right.
where's our,
Excuse me, John, there's kind of a core deep area in the back, generally where Tyler was just showing, but the area you can see in some of Tyler's photos, the area does flood up towards the limits of the BVW, getting up towards the house. So during spring high water, there's a fairly substantial area of ponding.
and the wetlands line, is that at the top of the pink there or?
Right here in green. It's kind of hard to see.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. And the wood chips, how deep are they currently? Are they over 2 feet high or?
No, they range in depth. They're kind of taller, closer to the bank here. A couple inches to, several centimeters, something like that.
Oh, really? So that's just what we're dealing with. We're not, I'm just saying years ago we had somebody who had 4 feet of wood chips running for 100 feet to their property. So this is not that. This
Minimal.
is basically just ground coverage of wood chips. Okay. And was there evidence that it smothered anything out, or were plants coming through it, or
Not as far as I could tell. No.
to which question? I'm sorry, I gave you
Oh,
both.
sorry. No, it wasn't any evidence that it was covering any vegetation or anything.
Oh, okay. Okay. So then at the next step, if we don't get permission to rake that out, we certainly won't have permission for the plantings there either. And does this show trees that were cut down over the property line?
Yes. So these small red dots are the trees that were cut. So yeah, you can see there's a few of them to the right here.
Okay. Okay. And so Paul, based on this go around here, then once we have the ability to get started, do you think this provides adequate replanting and restoration?
I do.
Okay. Okay. Commissioners, anyone have a question concerning this? Janet?
I had a question for Paul. And the question is, should this area that is a potential vernal pool actually be a vernal pool? Would that change your recommendations for the plantings there?
No, because we did consider the fact that in that area underneath the closed canopy, the woody vegetation is really limited to the hummocks, to the slightly higher areas. So that's already been considered based upon the evidence of hydrology that you can see. So we know it ponds seasonally. That's obvious. What we don't know is whether the vernal pool critters are taking advantage of that, if the hydro period's suitable and if they're there. I'm guessing that they are.
One of the reasons I asked the question of where it was located was from the edge of where it is potentially located, as we go through the green, the gray, and the pink, what's the scale there? Is that 100 feet, or what are we looking at there?
Scale. Sorry for.
So yeah, so if you from what you're showing, if you move, yeah, right there, going up towards the pink in terms of the edge of the restoration there.
Okay.
What's that distance from ballpark? Is it 100 feet or is it
I think less. If I'm not mistaken. I can measure it out really quickly right here. From here to the edge of restoration would be 82 feet.
80? Okay,
approximately.
got it. Okay, so And then you're saying, Paul, that basically in that green area is sort of hummocks that allows for the ponding to spread out.
Yes,
Okay. Okay. Um, yeah, I think this so that and then the plantings that are proposed would not interfere with that, even if it were a vernal pool, is your sense.
that's right.
Mhm.
And the planting plan shows these locations, but does actually specify that there be really a field call as to where things actually go. That'll be decided on the ground, finding appropriate spots.
Okay. And question that I don't see addressed here is there was some discussion about a gravel informal drive up on the front left here.
Yes.
Oh,
And
driveway. Yes. Yep.
yeah. And so that's obviously right next to the road and so forth. And I think the discussion was the current driveway to the right, is that
Mhm.
only single car width?
Yes.
Okay. Um, so Paul, what's your sense of leaving that gravel just because people are going to look to park somewhere and that's not the greatest street to park in the street on in terms of any detrimental effect relative
Right, and
to.
this is one of the deviations that you're being asked to consider. Um, I think, as you know, people will probably park there. There was a number of cars in the driveway at the times that I've been there, and people will probably park in that area. If they are parking, they might as well be parking on something that's not going to generate mud.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, I
Okay.
believe we discussed that briefly at the last hearing. I think that was the idea, is that it just prevents track out into the road of mud and dirt.
And is that addressed in your narrative of things that are different from in the
Yeah, in the deviation letter. Yes, it is. Yep.
deviations? Okay, great. Um, okay, then I guess our next thing here is to give some time uh, for response from the landowner, the adjoining landowner. Uh, and any other action items for us to do to work on in the next 2 to 4 weeks?
I would just add, John, that if the commission members want to see that deviation letter, it's the beta has a January 27 letter request for COC that has a lot of material in it. That the deviations are listed right near the back of that long letter. It's a 54-page PDF with the pages. The deviation letter is
It should be right at the end.
yeah,
Along with that,
page 53 and 54 of the PDF.
and the page before that is the markup as-built plan that we discussed at the last hearing too, that shows the locations of each of those deviations.
Right.
Okay, excellent.
That's right. That is helpful, Tyler.
I have that up actually.
Yeah, that's what I was just
It's
going to
this
ask.
plan right here. Yep.
Mhm.
And it's all numbered to help, corresponding to the letter too, to help review that.
Okay, so for example, the crushed stone, this is coming in on, oh, so we're reversed from where we're looking at, so the road is
Correct.
on.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay, so the crushed stone is the drive that we were speaking of. Okay, then why don't we, it looks like a scintillating reading list, commissioners, prior to our next go around on this. What's Paul, any recommendations? It seems like what we're waiting for is a round of hoped for communication with the adjoining landowner. Is there anything else that you believe needs to be addressed?
I don't think so. As I said, just you will need to endorse all those deviations. Janet's suggestion is that we kick that can down the road for a time. So that's not urgent. But in terms of the restoration, I think what's proposed is reasonable. Tyler incorporated my suggestions relative to the vernal pool. So from my perspective, that part is in hand.
Okay, so Janet, the enforcement order on this, do you see a need to wait for vernal pool season before, or do you, are you looking at issuing this before with the caveat that it will address the vernal pool issues if and when they arrive?
Yeah, I think that we could be ready for the next meeting to issue the amended enforcement order.
Okay.
Paul clearly laid out what he wants to see
Mhm.
happen in terms of the vernal pool assessment. So that can just be part of the amended enforcement order. I will request from Tracy. Tracy, if you could just send us an email copy of the letter you sent to the abutter. and
Absolutely.
we have that for the file. That would be
Yes,
great.
absolutely.
Thank you.
And I can send you the receipts and the green ticket too, if you like.
Thank you.
Copies of that. It'd be good for you to keep those.
Yes.
And just, I don't want to extend this longer than we need to, but the trees that came down that's on the other owner's property,
Mhm.
Paul, is there do you see permanent damage if we can't get permission to replant those, or we'll keep an eye on things that will self-propagate on that, or I'm just curious.
I mean, there's a number of trees. They kind of run for the most part parallel to the edge of the driveway, right along the near the edge of the wetland. I mean, there's a big wooded area further to the right in this image. So it's not a case of having cleared an otherwise limited growth area.
Okay, I'm just want to know. Okay, then why don't we we'll continue this to. So Jenny, you think you'd be ready for this at our next meeting?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, then why don't we go ahead and continue it to that? Okay. Thank you very much. And
Thanks,
Paul, is
everyone.
there anything else are you on with us for anything else, Paul?
I don't think so.
Okay. And let's see.
Yeah, excuse me, John, just to let the commission know, 0 Farm Street and 21 Schaffner Road are areas on my
That's what I thought. Purview
on my
there.
list, but
Yeah.
both of them, Deborah has provided me signed contracts based on receiving checks for my proposals, but both are waiting to have some better conditions to do field assessment.
I see. Okay. So Deborah, both of those are they formally continued for this evening? Oh, you're
Yeah. For this evening, yes.
okay, so both 0 and
Yes.
21.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, great. Thanks, Paul, for making us aware of that.
I just actually, so before Paul signs off, quick question on 0 Farm. I saw in your proposal that you anticipated a limited wetland delineation, probably just for the crossing area. Is that right?
Actually, they came back. I'm glad you brought that up, Janet. They came back and had suggested that they flag and we review the entirety of the wetland boundary on the property, which I believe I covered in my proposal. I don't have it. I don't have it in front of me, but I'm confident that I did do that.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Well, likewise, Paul. The question I have is so this shows up as a cart path, the path that they're looking to use to cross the stream, and the pictures they showed, it's intermittent and so forth. And they have a 61A. Does that give them any sort of agricultural exemptions for traveling down a cart path that's been historically used?
I'm not sure they're 61A. They might be 61.
It's just 61 forestry.
Forestry. So okay.
So excuse me, John, my response to that is having that designation doesn't necessarily give them that. If they had actually an approved forest cutting plan that described logging roads and that sort of thing, that provides the ag exemption, but the Chapter 61 designation, in my opinion, does not.
So is that, I'm just thinking back, a few commissioners will remember up on Lane where somebody had a 61 form of something. I don't know if it was A or not, but and they pulled that out for DEP to constrain us from telling them what to do there. And for that, they had to show an invoice of $500 a year worth of sales. But forestry management is not based on sales; it's just based on maintaining some sort of management of the property.
You're
Is that
supposed to
how
have a forestry plan that you
Mhm.
follow, but
Mhm.
I don't think they've followed it because it
Mhm.
hasn't, nothing's happened in that property since I came here 25 years ago.
Okay. Okay. I just, was looking for clarification on that. Okay, then thank you. So part of that's weather constrained there, and 21 Shafter is being continued because we're still looking for more information from Deb, or is it more contractual?
No, that's the contractual part is covered, but again, looking for better conditions to look at the site.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see. We have some warm
You
days
don't want to
coming up.
go out there with 3 feet of snow?
So, okay,
Sounds
great. Well,
fun.
thank you.
Nice hike.
It
Yeah.
is.
Well,
Can't see those wetlands plants anymore, though.
No,
Well,
that's right. That's
but
right.
I expect to see some grass by the end of the week, the way things are going under trees and things like that. So,
You're
fingers crossed.
optimistic.
I know, I know. Well, I see pavement. I saw pavement today for the first time in a month. So, so, okay, then that completes our public hearing component of this evening. So thanks, Paul, for your help.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Good night, all.
Night. Okay, so next, and how am I doing, Sarah?
You're doing good.
Good.
I mean, you're a little slow, but we're getting there.
Well, we're doing a 9:20 discussion and votes right now at 8:45. So I was looking for a little, pat in the back, but I guess not. Anyway,
Anna will
such a such a
We're running ahead of
taskmaster.
schedule, so that's good.
Better than usual.
Yeah. So anyway, so we had a lovely presentation to the warrant committee on Monday, and have you? Has anybody?
Are you kidding or are you being real?
I don't know. I really I'm looking for the feedback on it relative to I think they understood it. They've commented even before that we were prepared, that we had, submitted. We were the only people who apparently had submitted something, by the end of last week. Um, and then we outlined everything. I think they understood what it, got some comprehension of what it is we do and how much we do.
Good.
But I'm just wondering if anybody, if Janet, if you heard any feedback at all?
I haven't heard any feedback, but Mike Blanchard did say today that he felt the town was in good shape on the operating side. So I
Sweet.
took that to mean they weren't looking to have any reductions. So
And did it come across clear? Because felt like I was trying to squeeze an awful lot in, that we basically weren't looking for an increase, that we were just looking to make things obvious, that had not been obvious for the last few years. Did that come across?
I think so. It
Okay.
made sense to me.
Yeah. And
I mean, I've
Um,
always, oh, never mind.
go ahead. No, that's what we're
No,
asking.
I mean, John, I've always said this to you. I've always said to everyone, I was like, why can't we just be like transparent? This is how much Janet makes, or
Yep.
this is anyway.
No, and I think
Well-
that's what the goal of that was. I thought, I think, and we had we had documented for the last few years. So I thought it was pretty clear, but,
Okay, good.
Amy?
And I did want to point out that you talked about her, if one hired an agent, the salary and the benefits, but you didn't talk about the pension, long-term pension liability, which
No, I don't
is
know that I did with, well, not on, not
not on
later
the
on.
presentation. So
Mhm.
there's several things we need to think about when we're hiring people into the town. One is, does Janet want to be a town employee?
Mhm.
Because she already has a pension from another
Mhm.
town,
Mhm.
and she probably already has health care covered by
Mhm.
another program. So maybe it's not something she's that keen on, and the flexibility of being an hour contractor is more to her liking. So we need someone of her caliber. Can we afford to do it any other way than we're doing it right now?
Mhm.
Just
No,
putting
and I
that
think
out there when you're talking, if they say, well, you're spending $100,000, we should hire someone. I don't think we're going to get someone for $100,000 that does the job that she does. And
Mhm.
the other thing
No
that we
way.
didn't talk about
No
is we
way.
didn't talk about all the pro bono work that she's doing
Yeah.
for us
Yeah,
that
I went in and pointed out that that's part of that, and I didn't use that term, which is, you're correct, which is pointing out the percentage of the funds that come out of our budget that are used for her to back up
right.
other departments.
That's
I think.
true. Very
Mhm.
much true in terms of her billable hours, but she does a lot of stuff that
Mhm.
she doesn't bill
Yeah.
for.
Mhm.
Um, so in a way, she's the same, we probably wouldn't get this even she's probably working for us full time if you add the two together practically. And so the advantage of having someone there full time is potentially that they could do more of the outreach, but I don't think that's actually true because I think Janet already does
Via pro bono too.
pro
Mhm.
bono all of the
Mhm.
outreach that we might be
Mhm.
tasking
Mhm.
a person,
So,
a salaried person with doing. So
I
just
think
my
and
two cents.
no, I think it's great, and I think it's one of the things that uh, couldn't get across everything in a 25-minute
Oh, no, no, I
presentation.
understand. But I
No,
think as
but I
you
think
go
it's
forward and talk,
absolutely, and
if people
that's
say, well, we really need to hire someone, just say, well, I don't know, talk to Janet about whether she even wants to be hired because that's the
well, yeah, and I view this as
problem.
being I view this as
I
being
wouldn't want to be
something.
hired, so I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
sympathize.
I view this as something where we laid it on the table. As Sarah said, we're being transparent. These are the actual numbers we're running at. You could hear a few, somebody mentioned, well, hiring Janet. You heard some pushback of what you expect from money folks to say, well, that seems like a lot. Should we explore that in greater detail? My feeling is they should explore it in greater detail because they can see by our schedule and by Janet's invoicing that we have our hands full. And that when
Absolutely. Like,
and that when
absolutely.
they
Like,
and that when and I've told them that for several years, which now this it's actually kind of a little bit of leverage by going fully transparent so that the town knows. We say, okay, now it's in your hands to figure out what you want to do on a town management basis. And then when we do have to address that, Amy, I think all these things that you just mentioned, we then create a series of bullet points so that it's not a matter of comparing uh, what they pay a 29-year-old conservation commission agent in some town versus somebody with Janet's experience and what she's been doing for us, including the pro bono, including the other town components and stuff like that. I think we can build up a page of bullet points that gives them something to think about.
well,
Um,
I also think it's been very helpful that Cam has been involved in some listening to some of our meetings.
sure.
You know
Yeah,
what
and
I
I
mean?
think
Like, I think he's behind us 100%.
yeah, and even Gavin mentioned, how surprised he was of what it is we cover. and how much. I mean, they couldn't wait to get out of there by 9:30.
Yeah, I mean,
They're like, oh, well, like, you guys are
with no offense, but like, when Amy recruited me, what, 10 years ago, it was like, oh, we're out of here by 9. And like over the last like 10 years, it's like, we're out of here by like 11:30, 12.
Well, we did get a little used to
No,
that, but
no,
then
no,
then
no,
we
John,
we've gotten
John,
better. But
I'm
yeah,
just saying we're getting better, but at the
oh yeah.
same time, it is.
Well, and that's part of like it was interesting having a rubric where they mentioned, the whole presenting, having the same rubric that all other departments had to use, I thought is useful and helpful for us to do.
Mhm.
And yet it also gives us an opportunity to explain what it is we do, and they get to see that. And they've been the concept of liaisons from both committees, I think, has been helpful as well. So great. I think we'll just it's good to hear the feedback relative to how the town is, the general feeling in terms of their budget, and that we may not hear from them until they may have no problem with what we have. We may not hear from them until July or August, and we'll see. But we've laid everything out on the table, so we have fully
And I think
disclosed.
I think personally they're like, oh my God, we're screwed if we don't have these guys. That's my opinion.
And
Meaning, like they need us.
I think so, but let's see if they try to make a case otherwise. But we'll deal with it when it comes. So if it comes, so and we can ask them, when they want to start.
Yeah, they
filling
can
in
learn
for
the
us.
difference between the types of permits.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
anyway,
yeah, exactly.
I think the process was really helpful, and I think having the liaisons, and I think the whole concept has worked to everybody's benefit. So I think and we'll be well. Apparently, we were model students thanks to Amy and Janet in getting things out by their deadline. Even though I knew their deadline would tend to slide a little bit, but I think. We're in good shape for going forward. Next year will be a piece of cake because we've done this. So let's see.
So
Anna?
John,
Yes.
Oh, Janet wants to say something.
Yep.
yeah, I just wanted to respond to some of the points that were brought up. So I love the work I do and I love working with all of you, but I would not be interested in becoming a full-time employee. So that's not a surprise. But I do think that this has been brought up, the issue of continuing with an agent versus a town employee. I think it's something that should be explored, and I do think Warrant probably would expect that to be explored. But I also don't see myself as a consulting agent forever. I can't give you if it's 2 years, if it's 1 year. Well, it definitely wouldn't be 1 year. I would give you plenty of notice as to if I am thinking, that I do not want to continue as agent. But I think that, say it's 2 years down the road, or even 3, that would give the commission time to explore options and to come up with, some real numbers. And I would certainly be available to help with any transition. So I would never leave the commission hanging from an point of view that I'm offering my support for you. So, but I do think the time, it's been talked about. Does it make sense to move? I think there are pros and cons, and the finances are part of that. But it's also a chance to look at how other Concoms are run. In particular, I would say looking at the town of Lincoln, which I think does an incredible job. They have a staff of 4 for a comparable sized town. They do have more open space, but they have a full-time land manager. They have seasonal land folks, and then 2 other full-time staff. So
They
Jen,
have a
don't they-
they have a really, really, really different model. They've done a bunch of open space development. They have a land trust that has that is totally differently structured than basically any other land trust in the
Mhm.
world. It's just they are property managers, they are rental managers, they are really different. Lincoln is
Don't they
just
also have endowments and they have particular stewards for particular properties?
I don't know. I mean, I know Buzz Constable who runs their land trust and is the brains behind the whole conservation area, everything that's been conserved in Lincoln. He's a wonderful person. He's super smart. He's a land lawyer. And but it's just they are Lincoln's crazy good, but crazy aggressive in terms of semi-developed, the what they're doing there. I think it's just much more forward than we
Well,
can be.
I think so. It gives us a pie in the
But
sky benchmark, but then there are others for us
if you
to
want
take a
to,
look
I
at.
mean, if you want to look at what they're doing, maybe there's some creative things that we
Yeah.
could be doing here,
Mhm.
but I wouldn't use it as a basis of what we should be doing in terms of our department. That's all.
Mhm.
And if we want to have Buzz come and talk to us, I'm sure I could get him to come if that's
Be awesome.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds so. I think first thing we should probably check out their webpage and and things
Yeah.
and see
Like,
how they
yeah.
present to because I think that's one of the I was trying to get it across, but I didn't feel like I did fully is that we want to be able to do additional outreach at this point now that we have the property we want to manage it and then let people know that they can use it and they can help manage it and I think those are finding out how other towns do that would help.
exactly. I totally agree with that. This
Mhm.
is totally different. Like they develop their part.
Oh, interesting. Well,
They
yeah,
do development, commercial and residential
under the Conservation
development.
Commission. So
Not
Ah.
well, it's the land trust
Land-
and the commission, and
got it. Okay.
it's
No, so
I'm
and then
fascinated, but it sounds very different.
no, then there are other,
and they
the town.
started forever ago. So,
Mhm.
when you could
Could do that.
do stuff, when
Well, they
things didn't
were
cost millions of dollars. $1
when
million
40
doesn't buy you anything anymore.
when 40B first came out 40 years ago, 45 years ago, Lincoln was proactive on that. They went out and they developed their properties. They developed the first one they did. They used Bill Ron, the architect who was in Tracy Kidder's house, and they developed things that look like large colonial farmhouses that were multiple units. And then they became landlords or sold some of them, and they've been doing it for a long time.
They also do not, they have a very, they do not have a very conservative, they do not have as conservative a residential
Mhm.
population as they are not. Lincoln is much more Cambridge than we are.
Oh, yeah.
We're
Yep.
very Boston.
Mhm.
So we're allergic to anything that has that affordable first word, and Lincoln is kind of a people's republic. So
Yeah.
that's the other really big difference
And they
between
have
what they
commercial,
can do and what we can do. Right.
and they also have commercial zoning where we don't,
Right.
and that gives them more flexibility. Okay, well, good. It gives us
So
some things to strive for in the upcoming year.
John,
I
can I
think-
just
I do.
can I just add one other thing? Just a comment that Amy made. I would say I generally am working full time between so the town, if you're a full-time employee, you're working 35 hours. And between the work that I invoice for and all my pro bono, I'm at least 35 a week. So
I
and then
sussed that out a while ago. Yeah.
and so if you're looking at bringing on a regular employee with vacation time, time paid off, sick time, and all of that, you just I don't think it's realistic to say we're going to get more hours out of a full-time agent. But that would just be my 2 cents.
That's oh no, I think that's another bullet point or several bullet points to get on to this mythical list that I just mentioned. And I think given that, that would probably in itself lead to requiring at least a full-time administrative person, beyond the 60 or 70% part-time that we have currently. So, and we would want to make that clear that that's where things would go. However, as Janet mentioned, she's not going to be here forever. So this gives us some time to start looking at options. So appreciate that. So Anna.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, as our full-time volunteer. No.
What we need is a full-time ranger and land management. That sounds great. I love that idea. No, where we are, we have our meeting not this Friday, but next Friday. We want to, as we talked about at the last meeting, we of Concom, we want to talk about updating the land management planning plan, for lack of a better word. Our main problem is we want to, I don't know, figure out how to tackle the land management plans better, and we're all running short on time. So there's obviously a better proposal than what we did last time, but that's up on the list to talk about. I emailed out the mud grids. We've kicked around that idea a fair amount. I don't know what people's thoughts are. I think it was yesterday. I don't know what people's thoughts are. I'm especially interested in the equestrian opinions on this, because the idea would be to put these down where we're seeing a lot of erosion, especially on equestrian trails. The trade-off being they are plastic, and I don't love the idea of adding microplastics to an eroded trail, but it might help. So we've considered trying them, but I was curious what everyone thought about that.
Well, I also have to figure out if they're slippery.
Oh, they're supposed to not be, but I have no way of knowing that.
Let me get back to you about that.
Okay, that'd be great.
The
Because-
pictures that they have show the horses in pastures and paddocks, but not being ridden over them.
Oh, right. And yeah.
They're not, we unbalance them. So
So how deep are the mud grids from top to bottom?
Looks like a couple inches, but probably thicker.
So
I think the alternative is just reroute the trails faster, which may be a better solution. But that was one of the ideas we had.
well, I think we have the funding, and once we figure out our out of our 30,000, we take out a minimum of 10 for mowing, and then figure where we go from there and see if what we can generate from that.
and also the horses don't really, I mean, we don't love mud, but we don't care so much. And we won't go around it and make the trail wider like the people will when there's muddy horse trails. So the solution might be to provide low, some kind of a bog bridge.
Plank bridge?
A plank bridge, yeah. Just a really low one over those areas so that people don't make the trails wider, because the horses will just
tend not to.
So do you take
Tend not
horses on any of the bridges that have been constructed?
No.
No. So
You never take a horse on a bridge unless it's specifically constructed for them.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
They'll go
So-
right through the ones that they've put in.
Like
So,
all the bridges in Wild Woods, like they're bike bridges. We would never go over those.
okay, good to know. But like you said, in horses, it's a natural environment for a horse to walk through a mud puddle. So it's not a
Oh yeah.
And it doesn't hurt it actually helps in some ways it helps pierce the hard pack, so the water seeps in better.
Yeah,
It's
true.
the buffalo thing.
Yeah,
The buffaloes that
exactly,
made
yeah.
the prairies. And the
that goes on
prairies
another
started
sheet of
getting
bullet
arid
points.
when they didn't have the buffaloes to make the pot marks to hold the water.
Right.
Mhm.
And then you have the Dust Bowl.
Yeah,
Right.
literally.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think, and one of the things maybe to use our land management, budget, is maybe we get a land manager in to tell us how we should look at the land management. Sort of, go, as opposed to, saying that we want them to manage a particular parcel, step back and say, okay, here are the parcels, what, for $2,500 or something. What are your recommendations for how and give us some historical or community context of how other towns, deal with this?
Mm.
And what are the things to look at in terms of balancing recreation versus bird sanctuary versus, and just, get a sort of a more overall picture of what we can use them for.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe something for us to
It's-
start thinking about in by March or thereabouts. So
Yeah, that's kind of what we're thinking about the planning plan. But there's maybe like a lower intensity version than we were thinking of. On that note, I emailed about the budget that we have left for this year. And I know everyone was busy, but I'd love an email back on that whenever we're ready.
I didn't know if we had does $18,000 seem likely, or were we missing some invoices on that, or?
I think we're pretty much up to date, tell you the truth, as far as.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought.
And was that the number, or am I?
Well, I'm gonna double check the number. I think it could be a little greater than that.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah, that'd be good to know.
Right. So give me another week, because I'm gonna go back
Okay.
to the account. But I think it's a bit north of 18.
Okay. It'd be helpful to have for when the four of us talk on the 20th, just so we know what we're looking at. But we meet at 12:30, and I will probably not pay attention until 5 minutes before, so no rush.
Yeah, no, understood.
And
I can't do it tomorrow, but I'll do
That's
it
fine. That's
another
fine.
week.
Okay,
Because
great.
make sure the number didn't change, but you're paid
Sounds
up
good.
as far as I see the invoice.
Okay, good. Well,
Great. That's what I'm
we
hearing.
just didn't know if and maybe that's something when you send it out, Anna can review it and realize whether or not we've been sent all the invoices.
Yeah, that'd be helpful, honestly.
Okay, great. Thanks, Anna. Next up is draft minutes. Did people have a chance to review any of the draft minutes? Have to hand it to Deb at knocking out some of these minutes very quickly.
She's knocking him out.
Yeah.
I want it gone.
So that's been very helpful. Of course, then it's up to us whether or not we've had a chance to review them. Has anyone had a chance to review them enough to vote on?
Yes.
Okay. And with Janet's changes as well?
Yep, those were all done and sent along to the commission.
Okay. Let's see. Then what we have in front of us, we have actually, Janet, I have a December 3rd up in front of me. I didn't know do we have anything prior to that? Which ones are we covering?
There were two, December 3rd and then February 2nd, 2026. Those were the
Okay.
two.
And I was just looking for the second wanted on item 6, there was something in blue for me that land manager expense was recently reduced in consideration of annual mowing being less than anticipated. And I am not quite clear what point I was making there. I think we were still looking to get our budget in line relative to what we spent on mowing, and I didn't know if we'd this is by when was this? This was February 2nd. So at that point, Deb, did you pull up how much we'd already spent for mowing? And that would have been just for the fall at that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
I I have to look at it. I mean, it wasn't what we anticipated. Let's put it that way. I think it was more to the tune of 7,000.
Right, and I think part of it was that he was able to, he actually came in lower than he thought
Yeah.
he would on,
Right.
over on,
Like a couple of
83.
grand lower.
Okay, I would just take out on,
Take that out.
take the blue out and
Okay.
it reads fine after that.
That works for me.
I did like the difference between one versus the other was one showed the town shield on it, but
Okay. Yeah.
you can add that up there. But so on February 2nd, does anybody have anything to add? Then I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes for February 2nd.
So moved.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor? Zega,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
Anna,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay. And next is for December 3rd. And I didn't, the only question I had on that was I think I had mentioned at one point on page 3, I said approximately 7,900, and it looks like I believe Janet then changed that to the actual amount. And for minutes, is it okay for us to make a correction like that, or do we?
You could say approximately whatever you said, and then you could put in brackets after that what the actual number is, so it's clear that it's so that
Okay.
the information is correct, and but it's
okay. So
clear what you said.
I'm
What do you
fine.
think?
Yeah, I think because that I did say those. I was pretty close. But why don't we? Why don't we do that as is, approximately 7,900, and then in parentheses we'll put the correction, the actual amount in, and do that also for the I was off by 25 cents on the other one there.
Yeah.
I think it's just really nice when we're trying to do these for posterity to actually have the numbers put in
Yeah.
there.
No, I
So
agree.
that they
And
don't
I
have to
just
go chasing them.
yeah,
But
no,
I
exactly.
agree with you that you should be quoted correctly.
No, so that's an elegant way of handling it. So so that would be the change I would make there. And I think the correction for Wildwoods, and then adding the documents. And I'm fine with that. Does everyone else agree? Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes for December 3rd, 2025.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor? Zega,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
Anna,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay, so last but not least is Janet's report.
Sure. So under active permits and enforcement, the only thing I wanted to bring up was a recommendation that we once again ask the owner, Will Mitchell at 31 Springdale, to come in, because we've sort of exhausted all of our voluntary compliance efforts. And I drive by there all the time. He's out there doing
Bothers
all
me.
sorts of things.
Me
He
too.
has a tractor, he's building walls, he's building sheds, and I don't know why, he's just not responding to us. But it's been 2 years. The
Okay.
enforcement order was issued 2 years ago. So
That's a really good point, because I think one of the things, and we'll dig up the septic plan from GLM to see exactly where his buffer is, because we'll see whether or not he's building any of this stuff within a buffer. and we, basically get them to stop doing anything within, within the 100 feet there.
DLCT will be sending a surveyor in there as soon as you can see the
Oh, okay.
The
Interesting.
ground?
Okay.
on the
Good.
ground, but only on that side, only on
Yeah,
one
no,
side.
that's all. That's it. Yeah, that's really the
So
only thing.
I know
No,
that-
there's wetlands
Yeah.
on both sides.
Oh, no, there's
Yeah.
wetlands. Yeah, no, there's wetlands.
And there's wetlands on 3 sides, right?
Yeah,
So we're only on our side,
yeah,
but we're gonna
You'll do it.
I'm
Yep.
I'm tired of waiting.
yep.
So-
No, I think
But,
that's
I mean,
appreciated.
Steven's even more tired of waiting, so we're gonna spend the money to get our part, and we're getting elevations too, and if they're different than the GLM plan,
Mm-hmm.
he's gonna pay.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okey-doke.
I guess it
We're
goes
gonna
back
sue him.
to, again, we don't need to talk about this ad nauseum, but at some point we need to figure out as a commission, are we going to finally find people?
Yes, please.
Well, it's into so I view something like that in terms of potential damage to the wetlands. There's not significant, but it's very aggravating that we don't get
He's
the
wasting our
response.
time.
Right.
We see
And
he
so
also put in the culverts and like that's a whole bunch of stuff.
But
Well,
the thing that really pisses me off, John, and I will say this, is like 6 Sterling Drive.
yeah, what about them? They did their work. It's an issue where it's now because of the divorce within GLM. So the next I've spoken to Kristen Scalabrini, and I mentioned that they will.
But again, it's I've been on the commission for 10 years. That has still been on my watch.
Mhm.
So
Well,
it's
I think one of the things that I can't recall who mentioned it. Oh no, it's Janet. That we look at finding is very difficult and very expensive for the town. Having a policy that all enforcement actions require an outside consultant, i.e. Paul, to
Okay.
review. That
I
way,
get that.
that way it's front loaded right at the beginning that they have to come up with funds because they did something they weren't supposed to do. So I think that's something that as we've had a really busy quarter, between getting the warrants stuff, the OpenGov stuff,
Yeah.
all those sorts of things. Now we can start to focus on a little breathing room for these types of policies, and I think that's worth a discussion to iron out and decide whether we vote on it as a policy or a regulation.
Well, why don't
mean,
we
yeah.
have a policy that that outside consultant, but also that, if there's an enforcement order that we need an escrow deposit of $5,000,
I was gonna say
$10,000,
$10,000.
Yeah.
something that we can then pay that consultant. We can also pay a surveyor, and we can pay somebody
Do
to
more of the work
develop a
ourselves.
restoration plan, so we can do that work and just hand it to them, right?
So I think
If they don't
No,
find somebody, we're just going to find the most expensive person we can find to do this stuff
Well,
as fast as they can
unfortunately,
do it.
Will Mitchell found the most expensive person he could, and that's
But then
why
he stopped
Well,
doing the
too
work.
bad. So,
Well,
What
So
you're talking about? It's 6 Sterling.
he clearly
Oh,
didn't
well,
find the most
well,
expensive person
we're
because
talking
it's
about
not done.
We're talking
yeah.
about
So well,
Springdale.
I think
Point.
to get to, I think we're in solid ground in terms of requiring a outside consultant. The idea of, in essence, is a certain potential lack of due process to require an escrow very early on there, and that's something worth running by town council, and also running by town council to see how do other towns deal with this, because this is not an isolated thing. This is issues that they have in other towns.
I mean, we're lucky enough that, and I hate to say this, but like my neighbor up above, 32 to 30, yeah, I'm 32.
36.
36 to 38, Sam was the one who was a bitch about the trees being cut down. And he's the one he's on it.
Yeah.
Solar home, like he's on it. Like, and I have to say, like,
Well,
the selectmen have been talking all about lately about how they want to get the bylaws in order and they want to get everything enforced properly because they're sick of Dover being walked all over, et cetera, et cetera. And we're not talking even bylaws only, we're talking about laws. So not only do we should talk to town council, but we should also talk to them and be like, if this costs more money, can we please just hold people to the laws they're supposed to be following?
Right.
So the thing, for example, Will has mentioned that he's basically run out of money, and that's why you see him doing all his own work there. How do we enforce something like that? And I don't, frankly, I don't have an answer there. It's not. He's done most of what we wanted him to do, but then of course he compounded it by doing additional stuff we didn't want him to do. So it's, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And as opposed to 36 Farm, they have the money to hire a Sam to do all that. But we have other people where that's a little bit more cost constrained. And sometimes we have been hesitant to threaten with fines. Maybe it's something we should review about actually doing that and see if it brings people to bear as they start to accumulate. So I think it's worth, I've put that in for a request with town council because I couldn't make a couple of the meetings, but in one meeting I never heard back from them about outlining that. So when I get the next meeting that their agenda or time sheet that they're going to be here, I will put myself on that. And
unfortunately, she was just here on Monday.
Oh,
Yeah.
I did not see that.
It just, to me, what drives me crazy is the rich keeps getting away with not doing the rules.
Well, I think the rich ponied up on a few things. I think not everybody.
Who?
36 Miller, and 14,
Well, 36 Miller, because they got caught because of.
Well, they had a whole lawsuit going.
No, they were the 30.
No, they were one of the agreed parties.
Right.
But 14 and 12.
Because
they were the ones who got. Yeah.
Well, that's
no,
because
my point being is
TTOR and the Rollins after them.
Yeah.
Right.
So relative. Yeah. So relative to the so-called, rich is relative, but it's they came forward. It's the not so rich that we have some issues with.
But Will can ask his father for a few $1,000s.
Will could also talk to us and explain his hardship and explain why he's got a plan that he's done on the back of a napkin. He did his plan on the back of a napkin because he doesn't have money for an expert, but he can work with us.
And we keep driving by it every day, and we see what's not happening.
That's the other issue is it's very public. So why don't we go ahead and issue a letter requesting him to come in by the time we get it out there. So why don't we do it? You can't do anything with the snow. Let's have him attend not the next meeting, but the meeting after that.
So the end of March, whatever that means.
The first meeting in March.
March 11.
Probably the 11th, because it's a 4 week
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. So we'll issue him a letter saying that we have not heard from him, we have not seen progress or heard thereof, and that we need him to come in for an update.
That'd be
That's
great.
good.
That sounds great to me.
Maybe we ask Mike to ask Nina before that meeting if town council office hours don't happen first, and just talk to her.
I think I've talked to her before on this. There's not
happen most months.
I think we need a clarification of what so that we can let them know where we're going to move on that, and if we're going to move towards finding him, we'll just give him a deadline. Yeah. Now, interesting. In a discussion with him, he actually asked me the land next to him that has the intermittent pond. Basically, it's a drainage, it's a retention pond from the town. It's only there because decades, if not centuries ago, the town put catch basins and culverts into it. And he has upland behind it, and he has some upland to the right side of it. And he was wondering whether he could develop that so that he could generate the funds to finish things out. And I said that people have been asking that question for 80 years. I've had people call me. I remember almost 20 years ago, the person who lived to the right there wondering if they could sell that land. So there's and that brings up I told him it was unlikely because of the retaining pond and the fact that it's currently would be designated as a wetland, but that if he were to want to fill any of it, he could ask his dad to create a larger wetland on his dad's property as restoration. Just throwing ideas out there, but
That already has a lot of wetlands.
Oh yeah, it does, which is why you have the ability to expand it. But frankly, I don't get the sense that
I think he'd have to take his house down first.
But that's not something I think his dad has any interest whatsoever. So anyway, that just gives you a little brief idea of my the discussions I've had with him. So let's get a letter out to him. Let's get his side of the story. We'll do it for the first meeting in March, and you know what? Yeah, and I'll be here for that. So okay. And then Janet, that was dealing with that. Do you want to move on to stormwater?
Yes, and John, who did you want that to send that letter? Was that me or Deborah or?
Have you sent the letters before, Janet, or did that come from Lori?
I think I drafted them and then sent them to Lori so they would go out from the office. So I can do that.
Okay, so and send it to Deb because Lori won't respond. So there we go. Let's follow through on that.
And I think it also would make sense. I could also ask Paul from his perspective, what are the next steps? Because he is the third party reviewer.
I think that would be great, Janet. I think we need to squeeze him a little bit because I think he just thinks, oh, nothing's gonna happen.
So John, it looks like Nina's office hours are the second Monday of the month
of March. Okay.
I mean, so she would be there on Monday the 9th, I would guess. So you might talk to Mona or make sure that you're a bit in town that Monday.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what is the exact address of the property, just in case I might want to verse myself a little bit?
Yeah, it's 3031 Springdale.
Okay. Yeah. Got it.
March 9th.
Yeah, there's an existing enforcement order, Deborah, so there should be an enforcement file.
Yeah.
And it's
been
in the works for a while.
Well, part of the frustration, if I recall, when Paul was involved in this, they were very close. Paul was just saying that they were a little light on their plantings. And at that point, he wasn't able to get Goddard in there for without an additional deposit of like $8,000 or something to do some plantings. So we'll get Paul will fill us in on that. Okay, stormwater assessment.
Some good news. The town is being more proactive in terms of trying to address its stormwater infrastructure issues, mainly our culverts, but also our catch basins, and to address flooding in areas. The town got a grant for phase 1, which was basically to go out and map and assess the entire stormwater management system. So we have a total of 115 culverts, over 300 catch basins, a number of areas that have been identified as major flood storage areas. And so phase one is basically done. That's the mapping, the identification. They just kicked off the phase two, which is now really the analysis section. They're going to be using cameras to go in through all the culverts, assess them. And the goal is to come up with, because the town is deferred for 80 years, really any kind of maintenance on culverts, which we're now seeing the effects of that, come up with a cost to repair the culverts. Can they be repaired? Do they have to be replaced? Are they adequately sized based on more flooding? So this next phase is going to be a little over a year, but this is really important and positive work that's going to help us look at stream crossings and flooding issues. There will be more permitting as they schedule the capital plans for culvert improvements. We're looking at a very big number here, but it'll be stretched over a number of years. They're also looking at ways to fund this. In a lot of towns, on your tax bill, there is Dedham, Wellesley, Needham, I think Natick too, has a stormwater assessment tax on your tax bill. It's usually like $50, but that goes into a fund that can help with all of the culvert maintenance and repair issues. So they're looking at ways how to fund this really big cost that's coming down the road for the town. But I was asked to serve on the project review team. So this is sort of an example where even a regular employee, conservation agent employee, would need to be participating. It would be part of their job. Anyway, so I did send out some material. I think it might be a good idea to have the consultant, once they move along a little further, to come and talk to the Concom about what our concerns might be in terms of looking at culvert repairs and maybe coming up with some best practices. So when the town does hire firms to do that work, they know what our concerns are and they can build that into the contract. So
no, and I think you need to streamline that for, especially ones that are being replaced with the same size, or come up with a plus or minus size, so that they can get those approvals sooner and less costly. Okay, thank you. And
the last is the MACC conference is coming up on the 28th. We do have money in our budget to fund. If anyone's interested in going, just reach out to Deb. But I know a number of you have gone in the past, so there's a lot of, I think I'm going to try to go.
Zaga, if you can go, it's really
Yeah, I would, but I'm gonna be out of town that weekend already, so it's not in the cards this year.
Okay.
In
I'll
case
try and
anybody
keep it on my
There's a
further
fall one.
calendar, so it doesn't.
If anybody wants to go on a road trip, the Mass Land Trust Coalition annual conference is out in Amherst on Friday, March 17th, I want to say 13th. The 13th at UMass. And I'm going to go out Thursday afternoon, and I have a bedroom with 2 beds. So if somebody else wants to come with me, I free housing.
are you doing that at
Friday
at the
night?
UMass?
Not you, John, but
no,
the girls.
I was just curious. Is that at the UMass Hotel, or
Yeah,
the
the
Lord
UMass
Jeff, or-
Hotel and then it's connected to the conference
Oh,
center.
I see.
It's
Got it.
just one big brutalist building.
I am
When
aware
is
of
it
that,
again? Friday?
Friday the 13th.
Oh, Friday.
No problems there.
This Friday is Friday. We get 2 Friday the 13th
Oh,
Right
sweet.
in a row. This is
This
There you
concerning.
go.
this
Good.
year.
Okay. Well, everyone give that some thought.
So
I'll rent a
different
yurt.
than Mac, but it's close.
Great. Thank you. Anyone have anything else they want to bring up? Okay, so we are, man, we are ahead of schedule. So thank you
Go
very
watch
much,
some
everyone.
Olympics.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
okay, thanks much. And hearing no objections, tonight's meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Good night.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.